Hey guys, it's Mr. Tom. We are officially done with our learning today. I was really glad when I got to meet with you all and talk to you all. It's always the highlight of my week because I miss you all tremendously. So, as promised, I am recording what we talked about today, and I will have it uploaded for you on Google Classroom as well as explaining your assignments that I have for you in depth. Okay. Again, the story that we have been talking about in this is the Uncle Marcos. Okay. So Uncle Marcos is on page 449 in your perspectives books. Most of you got to take this home, but if you didn't, then I have uploaded it for you on Google Classroom, and I will also link the story from the perspectives book on this. So if you can get online onto Clever and log into your perspectives book, then you will find this in Unit 5. Also, I put directions on how to log on to your perspectives book in my virtual letter, okay, with my schedule and so forth. So we were talking about Uncle Marcos from the House of Spirits, okay? The author, you need to pay attention because this is going to be a question on your quiz, is Isabel Allende, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. We talked about the plot today. And this is the plot that we have been using since the beginning of the year in our classroom. This is the plot chart that we took notes on and that we pasted into our journal. I understand that most of you do not have your journals because they are still left in class, and so that's okay. So I will repost this for you to Google Classroom, okay? So the protagonist of the story is actually Uncle Marcos, okay? He is the main character. He is the protagonist. And we talked about the setting. And in the setting, we talked about that it was located at Clara's house. Clara is his niece. Clara is his sister's daughter, okay? And her house is in Chile. So we talked about where Chile was and that it was a country in South America. So this was originally a Spanish story that they translated into English. The story, if you go back and look at your background, let me see if I can pull that back up for you. If you go back up and you look at the background on page 449, it says that Uncle Marcos from Isabel Allende's first novel began as a letter to her 100-year-old grandfather. Okay, so we know that the setting is probably close to 100 years ago. Okay, so things that the expectations that we have now were just different. So it would be written a little bit differently. Okay, so Clara is very fond of her uncle, and her uncle is an adventurer. Okay, so part of the rising action. Uncle Marcos cannot make cousin Antoinetta fall in love with him. Now, we talked about, I know some of you were weirded out about that, but as I said before, this story was written, it originated close to 100 years ago. And so things were just different back then. We also talked about what he did to try to gain her affection. Okay. We talked about him trying to serenade her. And we talked about him playing the organ for her. And those of you who forgot what serenade means, that means he sang. So he did this grand gesture and he sang a song for her and he played the organ for her as I'm recording this video. But it wasn't enough to sway her. She was not convinced. She was not in love with him. She wasn't having any of it. And so what happened then was that he fell into a bit of a depression. But his depression didn't last long. It lasted about 2 or 3 days, and then he snapped back from it. But his resolve was he decided that he was going to leave love alone and not fall in love again, which is kind of sad in its own right. But that's part of the conflict, and that's also part of the rising action. Once he was done, once she refuted him, Okay. He builds a flying machine. Now, the flying machine, people said, looked like a prehistoric bird. Okay. That's really important also. Um, I think I'm forgetting something, but the climax. Also, before I move on, as we were saying before, vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen, is a really big part of this. So, as I said before, if you don't understand some of the vocabulary words, please stop and go back and look up what they mean. I was telling my classes before that I know all of these words with the exception of newfangled. It's I had no idea. I had to go back and I had to look up that word. You cannot fully understand this text unless you understand what you are reading and what the words mean. And the fact that this took place in such a different time than us, they obviously use different vocabulary. And so you need to make sure that you understand what they are saying. Okay? And choosing two vocabulary words will be part of your assignment. So, back to the story. The climax of the story was that mountain climbers and volunteer explorers brought back a sealed coffin to Clara's family with Uncle Marcos supposedly in it. Now, we did talk about it, and we all said that Uncle Marcos was not in the coffin. Instead of Uncle Marcos, there was a bag of sand. Okay, and I guess some people maybe thought it was his ashes or but they believed that he was dead. The inciting incident, or part of the conflict, if you look back at our plot chart, this is where you would put the inciting incident, okay? Because it is involved in the rising action, and that is that he flies away in the flying machine, okay? So back to the falling action. We already talked about the climax. Again, the climax, we said, was that the mountain climbers and volunteer explorers brought back a sealed coffin to Clara's family with Uncle Marco supposedly in it. Okay? The falling action. Remember, for our chart, if you look, there's usually more in the rising action than there is in the falling action. And in the falling action, Uncle Marcos shows up back home and the sealed coffin only contains a bag of sand. Now, for some reason, I guess because this story took place a long time ago, people didn't realize it was just a bag of sand and believed that he resurrected. Okay, believed that he came back from the dead, although he was never in the coffin. Okay, and then that set of events kind of, you're going to have to refer back to the story, but that particular set off another set of events. Okay, in the end, Uncle Marcos actually did die on the ship back to Chile. And that's how the story ends. So, yes, Uncle Marcos did die, but not towards the climax when they thought he was dead and he wasn't. Okay? That is the resolution. We also talked about theme. And there was a lot of different ideas about theme. Some people said unrequited love, or love for Antoinetta, and love for his sister, and love for his niece, and love for his sense of adventure. Some people said that the theme was living life to the fullest, right? Some people said that theme was adventure. So we had a lot of different ideas on what the theme could be, and that was really interesting to hear everybody's point of view on that. Okay, so your assignment for today, if you have not, please make sure that you finish reading Uncle Marcos from the House of the Spirit and finish annotating that. Okay, if you have already annotated it, then don't worry about it. Your assignment, which I'm about to post onto Google Classroom, is a quiz. It is a multiple choice quiz. There are no short answers on this one. Okay. And it is due by Thursday. Okay. Also, once you take this quiz, you will receive your grade immediately. Now, for some reason, there was some kind of glitch last week with the quiz. And so I went in and I'm hand grading, or I'm, personally grading each one of those other quizzes. But this particular quiz is correct. So if you don't do well on it, that's on you. Okay, we talked about the story today. You actually have the story several different ways. So I would really encourage you that even if you think you know the answers, go back and make sure that you find the text evidence to support your answer. Okay, and as I said before, right now I cannot put anything into SchoolMax. However, I am going to put your grade into your Google Classroom. Okay, your second assignment that will be posted is you are going to, let's see, you are going to, where did it go? Choose 2 words from page 448. Okay, there are 6 words here for you: decipher, invincible, contraption, newfangled, ingenuity, and improvisation. You only have to choose 2 words, and those 2, you are going to create a Freer model for each of them. Okay? If you don't remember what a Freer model is, I have attached a template for you, okay? And this Freer model, I'm going to give you kind of the freedom of how you want to do it. Now, this one is already pre-written. In the Freer models, you are going to put the word here. So if you choose the word ingenuity, you're going to write that here. Up in the top left corner, everybody has to write the definition of the word that they have chosen. Okay? The other 3 boxes, you may choose what you want to put in there. However, you need to label the boxes for me, because if you choose to put antonyms up in this top right box and I don't know that that's what it is, don't make me guess. Okay? The other options that you have is, as I said before, you can either, where did they go? You can do synonyms, antonyms, examples, non-examples, characteristics, non-characteristics. You can illustrate, draw me a picture, or you can use the word in a sentence. It is your choice to fill the other 3 boxes with any one of these, but the top left box for everyone has to be the definition. And this will be due on Thursday as well. If you have any questions, I will have office hours for you to drop in on Google Meet later on a few days this week, but you can always send me an email, and you can always send me a text message on Google Text, but you need to let me know who you are, please. So you can say, hey, Ms. Kurtam, this is so-and-so, and then write me your question. Also, on this, you're going to have to do this on your own paper, take a picture of it, and upload this to your assignment. That's how I will grade it. Okay? I hope you all are doing well. I'm really glad I got to see you all today. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. Take care. Miss you guys.